Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this week's Weekend Warrior for the weekend of July the 7th. One from Belmont Park, one from Parx, and one from Arlington Park. We'll begin with the grade 1 for 3-year-olds, 1.25 miles on the inner turf at Belmont. It's the Belmont Derby. You've got a nice field put together here, Mike, and you're going to go with a horse trying turf again for the first time as a 3-year-old.
Right, Matt. I'm going with my boy Jack in here. Now, there are a lot of ways you can go in this spot. I think it's a very interesting betting race. I had two basic stands in this spot. And one, I was against the European shippers. And usually I'm not that way in our turf division. But I suspect, just my sense is the 3-year-old European horses are not particularly strong this year, whereas I think our 3-year-old turf horses are a pretty good group. The other position I have in here is that I'm going to go against the two horses coming out of the Pennine Ridge, that being Analyze It and Catholic Boy. Catholic Boy got up and upset Analyze It, beating Analyze It, hitting Analyze It his first career loss. You know, I just thought Analyze It had zero excuse in that race, and he might be distance challenged. I mean, I think he's a brilliant racehorse, but maybe he's a miler, and this he couldn't get the distance 1.1 miles up Pennine Ridge, and now he's going out to 1.25 miles. And Catholic Boy ran dynamite in that race, but I think a big function of that day was because Analyze It simply couldn't get the trip. So I think it really opens this race up to other horses, and I'm going with my boy Jack in here, who, for my opinion, holds the distinction of being one of the most overbet horses I've ever seen. When he was sent off second choice in the Kentucky Derby to justify it, I don't know where all that money came from. He was bet long and strong, and he actually ran well in the race. I know the race was set up for closers, even though Justify won it. The pace was, extremely fast. But my boy Jack steadied at the top of the stretch at a very crucial point, and that cost him momentum. And he was a very good fifth. And, that Churchill Downs racetrack very much mimics a turf course. And, this is a horse, who, staked his reputation in turf as a 2-year-old. He won the Zuma Beach, which was a good performance. And then after the Zuma Beach, he came back and he ran the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, which has been called an extremely key race, and it was. And my boy Jack ran dynamite in that race. He was 7th, beating only 3 lengths, and I know a lot of trouble in that spot, but he was 4 wide on the first turn and 5 to 6 wide on the far turn. And he was only beating 3 lengths. I think maybe even turf might be his best surface. I know he can get the distance. I just think he's a very live horse who's liable to be a square price.
Let's go to Parx for a dash, the 5-furlong Parx Dash. It's a grade 3 event, field of 12 signed on here, race number 8. You're going to go with the Southern California Import Tribalist.
I am going with Tribalist, knowing full well that Pure Sensation is going to take a whole lot of beating in this race. Pure Sensation really, really likes the Parx turf course. He's 4 for 4 on it. He ran the best race of his career, winning this race last year, earned a career best 110 buyer figure, which would crush this field. And he signaled a return to top form last time out, went a good third in the Jaipur. I like Tribalist. I thought his race in the Green Flash handicap at Del Mar last summer was a remarkable performance. He was steadied astride out of the gate. He rushed up on the inside, was taken up on the rail into the far turn, was taken up again on the rail on the far turn, was steady with blocks behind horses in upper stretch, and still got up to win that race. And he didn't beat exactly an empty field, because third in that race was Richards Boy, who came back and got beat a photo in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Tribalist is coming into this off a 6-month layoff. It doesn't bother me at all, because when he ran that giant race in the Green Flash, he was coming off a 13-month layoff.
Last race to take a look at for this weekend's Weekend Warrior, race number 9 at Arlington. It's the Arlington Handicap, the local prep for the Arlington Million. It's a pretty salty group. You've got some nice established older horses in here, and you're going to go with a hard hitter in Divisadero.
I am going with Divisadero in here. Synchrony, I believe, will be the favorite here. I don't think Divisadero will be the favorite, and I actually think it should be the other way around. I actually think Divisadero, even though his past performances look like he might be in a little bit of a decline at this stage of his career, I think that's very misleading. I still think he's a grade 1 horse, and he's a grade 1 horse running against grade 2 and grade 3 horses in a grade 3 race. And I just think he's better than these horses. And why do I say that his form it might be a little bit misleading if you look at it superficially? And that's because when he was second 2 starts back in his first start this year in the Mama Stakes. He was narrowly beaten by Money Multiplier, who came back and ran a tremendous race, finishing second last week in the Grade 1 Yuan. He was beaten by an uncoupled barnmate who absolutely walked on the early lead. And then last time out in the Wise Dan Stakes, Divisadero just had a terrible trip. He was blocked on the rail and shuffled back on the rail all the way around the far turn. He went from a contending position to last, angled very wide in the stretch, and was really rolling late at a distance that was too short for him. I like this distance for him. I still think the Divisadero is a high-quality animal.
You can find the entire Weekend Warrior write-up over on DRF.com. DRF's National Handicapper, Mike Watchmaker. Great stuff as always. Best of luck this week, and we'll talk again in a few weeks.
Thanks, Matt.